if my math is right, we sat here about 3 weeks ago.
Was it 3 weeks ago? Oh my
It may have been 2, but it was probably 3.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And you were talking about a whole bunch of emotions about your upcoming trip. So catch us up.
So trip is done. I'm alive. Yes. Okay. So I always hated when other people go on missions trips and you come back and you're like, you're just being polite. Okay, just how was your trip? Give me the 1 minute. Let's move on. And I recently told my Facebook friends while I was on the trip, I'm like, I'm going to become that annoying person that is going to talk about compassion all the time. And Roger and I had like the same things hit us over and over again. First of all, we went there. I went there knowing the cute little kids were going to break my heart. Okay, not to put down any of my friends who have children in America, but the kids in Nicaragua, way cuter than the American kids. And I just offended every mom out there, but my goodness. But it wasn't the kids that blew me away, which is so weird. It's like you go there and you expect it.
Yeah.
It's the moms.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
These moms want the same thing for their kids that we want for ours. No, that's not even true. They want less for their kids because, we want very different things. But at the core, we want the same thing. We want our kids to know God. We want them to have joy. And we want them to have security. Foods, for us, security means that you have a good house in a good neighborhood. For them, security means that they have some sort of food every day. And, the houses that we went to, we first went to Roger Rohair, who was our sponsor child. He has been for 2 years. And I thought, oh, this is a poor house. It's cement, cinder block kind of house. But we got there, and can I just tell you, it was awkward as all get out. Like, what do you say? She knows, the mom knows, we've been sending money every month. And so it's just weird. And we're starting to ask her questions, and little Rohair could not be any cuter. His brother, Norwin, who's 10, they were just loving on each other. It was so sweet. So we finally get to the point where we're talking to the mom about, what does your day look like? Well, she gets up super early and goes to the market and sells stuff. Then she comes home and tries to get all the house stuff done. And then around 4 or 4:30, she takes a bus for an hour and a half to go to college.
Oh, bless her
She
heart.
has qualified for this low-income program, but her math skills, she tested high enough that she only has to pay $15 a semester to go to college.
Wow.
Which is still a lot of money,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's doable for her. Then she goes to, probably 3 hours worth of classes and then comes home. And her bus is the last bus of the night, so if she misses it, she has to take a taxi home. Which, she said the cost of school isn't the school, it's the transportation. And, so super awkward, we're feeling all there. But I'm hearing her tell this story. And there she is with her math homework sitting open. Stuff I would never even begin to understand how to do.
What a role model for her kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And I said, this is going to sound so bizarre. And I was praying it would not come out condescending. And we have a translator there. Sure. And I said, I'm so proud of you. And, I felt like her mom at that point. And I said, I know that's so strange to say, but I want you to know I see how hard you're working. I want you to know I see, because I want people to know I'm doing everything for my kids. And so I wanted her to know I saw that. And it got 100% less awkward at that point. I mean, we're both crying. And
oh, that makes things not awkward anymore at all.
But the photographer who was with us, Mike, who is awesome, he said, she so needed to hear that. She so needed to hear that. And of course I'm older than she is, but don't think I'm old enough to be her parent. I don't know anymore. I just don't even know. They say they drink their age. They look young.
Yeah.
And so they eat their years. That's what they say. They eat their years. So I'm not sure how old exactly she was, but you know, I wanted her to know, I see what you're doing. And so it was time for us to go back to the school. So Roher and Norwin walked us back to the school, and this woman who had barely talked to me when we first got there, about 5 minutes later, shows up at the school gate. I was just kind of hanging out, and she said, I just wanted to say goodbye again. And so we spent several minutes together, and I said, oh, I wish I would have gotten a picture of Norwin. And she goes, I've got a picture, I'll give it to you. And so Roger's the smart one to think, she probably has this one picture. It's not like she's going down to Target to get another one printed. So he took pictures of all, like, their photo album. She wanted to give us the photo album. I'm like, no. She goes, well, I just don't want you to forget us. And I'm like, oh, there's no way I could, trust me, there's no way I could forget you. And I just, the moms, over and over and over again, I just thought, you know, they are, some of them were single moms, a lot of them were single moms. They want everything that we want for our kids, but the toolbox they have has so many fewer tools. And so we went to, come to find out, Roger's house was the nicest house we were going to visit the whole time. The next house we went to, the guy from Compassion said, no, I've been to 50 of these. This is one of the roughest houses I've ever seen. They live on the banks of the swamp.
Wow.
And 3 days a month, their entire house floods. But they have to live there. Yeah. That's where they live. And so, you know, their electricity comes from the top. They have 2 live wires that are strung through a syringe. And so when you push on the syringe, the wires touch, and that's how they get electricity. I mean, and they're flooded. Wow. But I look at what Compassion is doing. And this is not okay, maybe it is a commercial for Compassion.
It's okay.
Because with that $38 a month, we went to this school where there was a binder on each child. And the children who had been in the program for a year, their binders were this thick. The children who had been in the program for 6 years, their binders were this thick. And all the different penmanship that was in there, and all the different hands that touched that child. And they are worried about cognitive development. They are worried about spiritual development, physical, and, cognitive, okay, so thinking, body, spirit.
Relationship.
Oh, yeah. So, like, and nutrition. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. I mean, like, okay, I'm missing one still. Oh, educational. Oh. Okay, so, well, I guess, no. Okay, so health. Yeah. I'm so confused. Okay, so anyway, they're looking at every area of that child's life. They are getting that child a medical checkup every single year. Wow. I mean, what they're doing with that $38 a month is a miracle. It's just a miracle. And what I love is they're coming alongside churches that have already invested in kids. Like this one program we visited, they had already been serving lunches to all these kids for 8 years. Wow. When Compassion said, we want to come alongside you. And these women, I mean, we think, you know, I mean, $38, let's just be clear, is a sacrifice for a lot of people. I'm not minimizing that. But the work that these workers do, and so many of them are volunteers. The tutors are volunteers. I'm just thinking, I have to be a part of that. I mean, so that's why we sponsored another child while we were there, because, you know, our heart is not made out of stone. And so we sponsored the oldest girl in the program, because we already had a boy. And her name's Brisbanieth. And when the director of that center found out that we had sponsored her, she said, it was a woman, she said, we've been praying for Brisbanieth because she was sponsored for a month. Yeah. And, you know, who knows what happened? Who knows? You know, somebody lost their job, whatever. She goes, but we have been praying that Brisbanians would be sponsored. And we didn't know how to choose. We picked the oldest girl because at a certain point, they're not a part of the, they're not eligible to be there anymore. So we went to Brisbanian's house, which in California would be $1 million home only because of its location, right on the beach. And we're like, wow, this is pretty nice and everything. And we said, you know, what do you like about living here? She said, well, we really liked it when we had a backyard. But the backyard is now going away, and her house is going to go away. And it's just, oh my goodness. You know, the things that okay, in California we think about it a little bit. But, yeah, and they just had an earthquake there on October 10th. Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of the families we saw couldn't live in their main house anymore. They were living with brothers or sisters because of that. So I don't even know. I mean, I feel like I say the same stories, but to translate the impact, and I know lots of people have been on these trips, and I never understood until I got there, and I say, you know, I don't know. It's if I'm not different 6 months from now because of that trip, that's totally on me. Because like I did not see one unhappy kid while I was there.
Wow.
There is, these kids have hope, they have joy. What they don't all have is sponsors. You know, what was especially heartbreaking was to see brothers and sisters who one was sponsored, one wasn't. I'm just thinking, oh my goodness, I want to take, you know, I want to take each of you in your packets and do, but the hope that is there for not just these kids but the whole community. Like, this doesn't just raise a kid out of poverty. The difference between the two centers we saw, one that had had compassion for 7 years and one that had it for 7 months, I was very depressed when I was at the 7-month one. Because I'm thinking, how do people live like that? And then somebody reminded me, this is just the beginning of what's going on.
Wow.
And, you know, when I saw the 7 years, that's where people are going to school. That's where, you know, they're living in homes that are solidly built. And here is where, you know, they're getting flooded 3 days a month. I mean, what can be done with that small amount of money is mind-blowing. And the people of compassion, not just the people in the U.S. office, but the people in the offices in the field, are just amazing. So I don't even know. Oh, and this is from Brisbania. This was when we got there. She got this from her backyard, what used to be her backyard. And you know, I just look at this, and I told her, I said, in America, the places of honor are on the refrigerator for pictures and in the living room. And I said, your picture will go on the refrigerator and your shell will go in the living room because we will never forget you. So, yeah, and trying to get that home without breaking. So, it was amazing. And I'm so glad we went. And I didn't want to go. I was scared to go. I wanted to lose weight before I left. All those things. And I think about, you know, this is so much where our book is at, because what was there was fear that was going to keep me from experiencing God's best for my life.
Yeah.
So.
And a radical paradigm shift, and expanding who He created you to be. And
yeah, I know some people get it without going there, and I feel like we got it in I don't want to say a small way. That makes it sound like the only way you can get it is if you go over there. But you know, I think it's the difference between seeing, you know, a kid homeless, you know, on TV and meeting them and just realizing I knew they had hopes and dreams, but you know, to connect with them, well,
you entered into their story, and they've now become part of your story.
Yeah. And I just think how brave they are. You know, like they're living this every day, and but they have so much hope.
Yeah.
So it was very, very exciting, and it's not a hope based on, you know, a fairy tale Christian reality.
Yeah.
It is based in God has saved us. God has You know, God cares for us, and you know, it looks very, very different what we consider care and what they consider care. But you know, I saw kids who, because of compassion, could go to the hospital to get their broken arm set instead of having a neighbor do it.
Wow.
You know, they're working on water systems for that community. It's just, and physically being there and loving on them. And after the earthquake, going and counting all the families to make sure that everybody was okay. That's what the churches did. This is all done through churches who already care about kids. And they go and they knock on every door to make sure, do you need anything? Are you okay? Do we need to relocate you? Just incredible.
I'm listening to Philip Yancey's book, Vanishing Grace, right now.
Ooh.
And he talks about the power of starting with our hands, reaching the hearts, and then getting to the head knowledge of who Christ is and the theology. He says when we do it the other way around, that's when things get mixed up and the priorities get mixed up.
Yeah, I felt like there were people who were questioning what compassion does and how they do it.
Yeah.
And like, why aren't we going in there with water systems right from the back? You know, how can we tell them about the love of Jesus when they don't have clean drinking water? And you know, they're good questions. You know, my thought was, compassion is coming along with their hands alongside what the church is already doing, discovering the need. And you know what you're saying there about Philip Yancey's book, I think that's so true, because you know, when we really, what those kids need, yes, they have very deep needs. They have medical, they have cognitive, you know, physical, spiritual. There we go. Okay, so but one of the things that what they really needed was for somebody to come play with them. I have this picture of Roger blowing bubbles to those 3 little girls. Oh my goodness. Okay, first of all, I fell in love with him all over again. He became known as the man in the white shirt with stickers. They knew a target when they saw him. But, you know, I love how he did it. He said, please tell me the name in Spanish of this animal. And so they were teaching him, and
so smart.
Zebra, elephant. I'm like, oh my goodness, I have so much to learn from him. But, you know, the kids, they wanted to be played with. You know, they wanted to be sung to. I'm like, it's the only time this little girl who had the broken arm, so sweet, such a character. And, you know, her mom kept on saying, she dances. And we kept on saying, well, dance for us. And I finally got smart after, you know, a couple of hours saying, dance for us. I said, you know what, you need to teach me how to dance. I don't know how to dance. And so she taught me some steps. Because she was just this little thing, like, she couldn't help but move. She was 7, and she couldn't help but moving. And so when I finally asked her, teach me to dance, it's like, will you pray for me? You know, it's like, I want to be doing something for you. So once I asked her, teach me to dance, she was all over it. It was so sweet. I love that. I need to read that book, because that sounds exactly right.
Yeah.
That was exactly my experience.
Starting with the hands.
Starting with the hands. I love that. Yeah. I want to go back, too.
Cool.
Yeah, I want to go back.
All right.
Not this week, but I want to go back. Yeah, I can't talk enough about compassion. So I'm not a paid spokesperson. I just really like them.